Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here this afternoon. My name is Corey Self. I am the deployment lead for SAMS Domestic and help manage a lot of the logistics regarding the whole deployment process for SAMS Domestic across the Department of State. Today, we're really excited to talk to all of you potential implementers or recipients of DRL, or potentially active recipients, implementers of DRL. A little bit about the transition that's going to come up for SAMS Domestic and the systems that you'll be using. So I'm going to introduce everything, and then I'm going to hand things off to my colleague Kyle Gardner, who is one of our trainers for SAMS Domestic, but he is also managing the logistics for DRL specifically. Kyle also leads a lot of our recipient webinars that we hold. We've spoken to a few of you already this morning, or I guess earlier this afternoon, and we do hold recipient webinars. We try to do them about every month. We're probably going to schedule a few in the upcoming months. Around mid-November will be the next round of them. So if you have not participated in those yet, pay attention to your emails. Hopefully you'll be receiving those and you'll be able to be clued into some more of this information. Additionally, we have Jennifer Gorkowski. She is one of our SAMS program managers, and she helps assist kind of the implementation throughout the Department of State, so she helps manage a lot of that. Cassidy Bowman is also with us this morning. Cassidy works on the SAMS support team, so you may have previously spoken with him if you've ever called in for assistance with grant solutions, if you've ever had any issues there, so he's one of those team members. And then finally, Sam Bauer is here, and Sam is going to help lead us through a demonstration of SAMS Domestic. So you'll get a look at the system if you've not yet logged in, and then hopefully answer any lingering questions that you may have. But I wanted to really briefly get started. I'm going to stand out of the light because it's going to blind me. Really quickly want to give you an overview of SAMS Domestic. So SAMS Domestic is the new grants management or federal assistance system that the Department of State is implementing on a bureau-by-bureau basis throughout fiscal year 17 and fiscal year 18. We'll discuss this in a little bit, but we have already deployed to 13 bureaus, and then over the course of FY18, we'll deploy to an additional 14, and DRL being one of those in this upcoming fiscal year. If you have been familiar, or raise your hand if you have been familiar with SAMS Domestic, or you've heard of it, have tried logging in, have been successful logging in. Great, so some of you. So for those who are not aware, but maybe have worked in Grant Solutions. Grant Solutions is the existing federal assistance management system owned and operated by HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services. The Department of State has been kind of renting that system for a few years now. Through the process of evaluation, understanding what the Department of State really needs, along with the recipients, all of you, what is needed on that system. We've been implementing this new system, which has a lot of really beneficial features that hopefully streamlines the process for your grantors, everybody at DRL or across the Department of State, but also for you. So there's some nice features that we're hopefully incorporating for you as well. And that includes viewing and applying to funding opportunities directly in the system, into SAMS Domestic, but also direct integration with grants.gov. So if you're applying on grants.gov or viewing opportunities there, all your information will directly integrate into SAMS Domestic. You'll be able to manage all of your applications there. In addition, you'll receive your awards. You can countersign awards directly in the system. You can monitor all of the awards or view documents associated to those awards after they've been issued by your bureau. So hopefully you'll be able to see kind of full visibility on everything that is associated to your award. And then also post-award activities. And this is one of the things that I believe Karen and Anna were just talking about, the monitoring and evaluation plans, which will require different reporting and different evaluation tasks that you'll do throughout the life cycle of an award. You can do that all directly in SAMS Domestic, and everything is integrated nicely and hopefully keeps everything streamlined and efficient for you. The other thing that I do want to point out that is important to note is SAMS Domestic is based in what we call ILMS. And ILMS is the Integrated Logistics Management System. And really what that means for you is you may start to receive emails from ILMS. And so we want to make sure that that's on your radar so that you don't just automatically send them to your spam or junk folder, because there will be important information that comes through the ILMS kind of tagline. So It is the Department of State's kind of supply chain and procurement logistical system, and it's really nothing that concerns you other than to know that SAMS Domestic is a piece of it, and you'll begin to receive or see some things that include that language. And if you ever have questions about ILMS or SAMS Domestic, our team and then also the support desk are always available to answer any of those questions and help you out. So I'd like to hand it off to Kyle here to kind of walk a little bit through the SAMS Domestic system.
Great, thank you, Corey. So again, my name is Kyle Gardner, and I'm going to be sort of the lead deployment point of contact for DRL. Sam, if you just want to jump ahead one here. So Corey already began hitting on some of these benefits, but we really want to focus on what this means to you all as recipients. And the first of these is that there's going to be improved post-award reporting in SAMS Domestic. So for those of you who do work in Grant Solutions right now, you're probably familiar with grant notes. And so moving forward into SAMS Domestic, there's going to be sort of a more intuitive repository for all the documentation that you're going to be uploading throughout the life cycle of reporting on an award. And one of the nice benefits that's going to be built into that is a series of notification features. So in terms of when you're logging into the system, there'll be a dashboard that displays any sort of upcoming to-dos or reports that you have to provide to your grantors. You'll also receive email notifications as well. Additionally, you all will be able to upload your own post-award reporting. So if for whatever reason your grantor hasn't been able to provide you that set of deadlines and what you should be providing, you can do that all on your own without sort of any assistance from them. The reason Corey especially brought up ILMS is one of the great benefits to you all as applicants is you all now have access to a 24/7, 365 support line. So if you have any questions about applications, if you are already working with DRL, any type of award-related questions about the system, you can always feel free to reach out to them. They have both a number that you can call as well as a brand new portal we are rolling out, I believe today, that you can submit tickets directly to. So again, that is accessible every day of the year from any part of the globe. So we hope that is particularly beneficial to you all. The next thing is that we have regular enhancements to SAMS Domestic in a way that you probably, Grant Solutions probably seems the same way it was about 2 years ago, but with SAMS Domestic, every 10 weeks we should be rolling out a new set of enhancements. So that really means that we look to you all for feedback for what you're liking out of the system, what you'd like to see built out more. And we really do take that. If you send that to your grantors, we'll take that as well. During our webinars, we look to solicit recommendations during that time as well. And then lastly is we do have a full data conversion. So if you do have awards that are currently in DRL, don't worry, those are all going to move over to SAMS, or if they're with Grant Solutions, they'll move over to SAMS Domestic. And so Sam, if you want to jump ahead one, what does that actually mean for moving over to SAMS Domestic? So like Corey already mentioned, DRL is part of our FY18 deployment cycle, and we're actually coming up onto DRL's sort of official deployment period. Right now we're in the pre-deployment phase, but it says on the board here November 11th, it's actually November 7th, is when we will be shutting down access to Grant Solutions. So everyone who does currently have awards with DRL, you should be getting notifications in the coming weeks, sort of letting you guys know about that. Typically for grantees, that'll just mean making sure any pending awards are signed, but since the fiscal year is over, I suspect most of you all are already sort of live with all your awards at this point, but you'll definitely want to make sure that you are prepared for Grant Solutions to go down on that Tuesday, November 7th. Across the next month, we'll basically be configuring SAMS Domestic to make it fully accessible for everyone in DRL. We'll be migrating the data over. We'll be configuring users. And then it will go live on December 8th. So for you all as recipients, on that day, you'll be able to log into the system, begin doing any sort of post-award reporting that you couldn't do during the downtime. You'll be able to see notice of funding opportunities on there, and ultimately be able to apply to awards on there as well. Also, after December 8th, you should be staying in tune for those ILMS emails where we'll be holding webinars, and then you can hear me for 2 hours instead of just 15 minutes. Go ahead. Great, so the last sort of few slides I wanted to focus on here are what you all have to be focusing on when we're talking about getting set up in the system. We've already talked about the data conversion. So if you are an organization that already is working with the Department of State, working with DRL, we are basically going to be pulling in all of your organization's information from Grant Solutions into SAMS Domestic. If you are a new organization, You've probably already heard about SAM.gov at this point, but it's probably worth reiterating, right? It's a little bit confusing with SAM.gov and SAMS Domestic. SAM.gov is the federal government's sort of one-stop repository for making sure you are a legitimate organization that can receive funding. And we will be pulling that information into SAMS Domestic for your organization. So the main takeaway for you all is if you are a new organization, please make sure you're registered in SAM.gov before reaching out to your grantor point of contact on a notice of funding opportunity. And they'll be sure to make sure your information is then integrated into SAMS Domestic. Some more nuances there, right? The main other one, and I believe Karen just spoke on this a little bit earlier, but if you are a existing organization, I would definitely recommend you go to sam.gov and check out your doing business as name and your address that you're registered to there, and make sure that it's up to date, right? Because part of this goal between all of the different federal systems is we want to integrate them better. And so moving forward, when you do receive new awards with the Department of State, with DRL, the DS1909 is going to automatically populate based off of your name and your address that's on sam.gov. So if you do receive an award, that's very exciting, but you also don't want to see the wrong address on there. So please do make sure you go to sam.gov and confirm that the address is what you want to see. If it's not, that's not a problem at all. Just go ahead and make those changes on sam.gov, let your grantor point of contacts know, and those changes will integrate over to SAMS Domestic. Now for users, the first thing to know is if you are a grantee who is on any sort of award in Grant Solutions, your account is automatically going to migrate over. So you will have, be assigned to the same awards that you were assigned to in Grant Solutions. You'll have all that information there. But if you are, for instance, a user who had an account in Grant Solutions but weren't assigned to any awards, or if you're brand new to your organization and never had an account in Grant Solutions, then you're going to want to know how to get set up in SAMS Domestic. And it's quite straightforward. You'll just go to the website, which we will, I don't know if we have it up here, but it'll be https://migrants.service-now.com. You can create an account there, but just your organizational email address, your name, and then ultimately the critical factor is what is used to be called the DUNS number, and that's how we'll be able to identify your organization and make sure that you should actually be connected with them. So again, right, if you are coming over from Grant Solutions, already assigned to award, when you go on to SAMS Domestic on December 8th, you'll just be able to enter in your old username, your old email address, and your account. You'll be able to set up a new password. And if you're a new user, you're just going to want to create an account and make sure you provide your DUNS number. And so the last thing we wanted to talk about before I turn it over to Sam for a few demonstrations is multi-factor authentication. So I'm sure some of you all are familiar with this process. Gmail really pushes it, especially if you travel internationally. A lot of social media has it now. The Department of State is going to be rolling it out for SAMS Domestic because it doesn't provide an enhanced level of security if it can be a little bit slower at the same time. So traditionally, right, when you're accessing an account online, you need to provide information that you and only you know, so your username and your password. But of course, as we see in the news all the time, that can be compromised, right? And so multi-factor authentication creates a second layer by also incorporating in some sort of physical device that you also have in your possession. Typically, we would recommend a smartphone, but we built this out for a personal PC as well. Right, and so we'll give you more instructions as you get closer to your date, but when you do set up your account in SAMS Domestic, you'll be expected to be able to do multi-factor authentication as well. And ideally, that'll lead to better security for you all as recipients and the Department of State as a whole. Great, so I'll turn it over to Sam now, but this is basically what we're going to be demonstrating are sort of all the key functionalities that you would do in SAMS Domestic. And then after that, we'll sort of turn it over to a few key milestone dates and then open it up to questions. Thank you. Do you want to do this one or do you want to?
I'll use this one.
Great.
Is this on?
There you go, Sam.
Okay. Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Bauer. I apologize for my voice. Going through a little bit of a cold. But as Kyle said, I'm about to demonstrate the grantee portal of SAMS Domestic to you all today. So many of you have been in the system before, it seems like, so it'll be an easy review for you. But for those of you who are not in the system yet, we'll go through just the general process flow that you'll be going through once you are deployed. So here is the login page, and for those of you who have not been issued an award in Grant Solutions yet, An easy way to create an account is simply through this login page. You just click the Create an Account link. So I'll be logging in as Bob Smith. So here is our SAMS Domestic Portal grantee homepage. So this is unique for grantees specifically based on what you guys do in the system. So first of all, we'll go through these tiles. First, there's apply. So this is where the list of funding opportunities are for you all to apply to. This is a link to grants.gov for easy access to that site, and then a little bit about the process. Next, we have my applications. So first, this link will take you to all the applications that you've created in SAMS Domestic, and the next link will take you to all the applications that other people within your organization have created and also have decided to share with you. Next, we have the award tab. So here there will be a list of all the awards that have been issued to your organization. And then also we have an awards dashboard that displays a list of statuses of all your post-award activities. And lastly, we have our support tab. So we have what we call quick tours. So they're just quick one-page documents about how to quickly apply to a funding opportunity or any kind of reminder of how to do things in the system. So if you're not in it very often, you can always go to the support tab and access any documentation you need. So moving down on the home page, we have a couple of features that Corey and they touched on today. So first we have the to-do portlet, and this will display any to-do actions that are required for you to do. So submitting any financial reports, progress reports, countersigning an award, all of these will display here for you as reminders. We also have a recently updated portlet. So here we'll display all the records that you've recently updated, so any applications, awards, post-award activities for your quick access via the home page. And lastly, we have our upcoming events calendar. So if you click View Calendar, here is a monthly view of all the post-award activities that you have slated for all your different awards. So it's a nice comprehensive view of what you have going on, if you have multiple awards or if you just have one with many different activities. So first, we'll go through the application process. So you do that by clicking the Funding Opportunities link, and you'll have a list of all the funding opportunities that you have access to. So there are a couple different ways to search and filter tables in this platform. So first, if you know the public opportunity title, a quick hint is to always search with an asterisk. And so I will search for and then you can easily see two of the opportunities that match your search. You can also search by the actual funding opportunity number, and you can do that again using the asterisk and just the last couple numbers, and that will display for you. So clicking on the funding opportunity, so I'm sure you all are very familiar with what a funding opportunity looks like. So it just gives you information about what you're actually applying for. So if we scroll down, the funding properties, synopsis dates, so when is this due by, your estimated project start and end dates. You'll see organizations only, so if you're not an organization, don't apply for this. And next, your award information, so if there's any cost sharing requirements, the estimated cost of the award. And also we have the submission information tab. So this tab will let you know which forms are required to be submitted. So you can see the SF424 is required and the LLL is optional. And moving down, we have an additional documents to be submitted tab. So here displays the position description, and it is required. So your grantor may upload documents such as a budget document or anything they want you to add to your application that isn't one of the standard forms. We also have information for the applicants. So many times this will be the applicant instruction. So how do I actually apply for this? What's necessary? And then we have applications. So you can do that by clicking New. And here you can see you just fill out this information. And then you click Save, and that will make this bottom part appear. So that's some of this platform's functionality. If you don't see something that you think you should be seeing, fill out the required fields, then click Save, and all of this information will display for you. So importantly to note, we have two fields called users who can edit this application. So if you want to select just a few people in your organization that should help you with this application, you can select them here. If you want all users tied to your organization to be able to work on this application, you can click this checkbox. And again, you can view the required standard forms, optional, the additional documents to be submitted, and then any helpful documentation that your grantor has added. So to move on, we'll go into My Organization applications. So again, these are any applications created by other users within your organization. So I'm logged in as Bob Smith, but grantee user created this application. We can work on it together and submit it. So again, you can go in and fill in any of the fields or attach any of the documentation. So once your application has been selected, you will be issued an award. So we'll move on to the Award tab. And here lists all the awards that your organization has received. So again, a couple easy ways to filter this table for ones that you need to sign. So these will be in pending approval status. And you can see we have 13 in total that are pending approval. You can also search by your award title or your award number if you know that too. So I'll search for this award number. And then here's my award. So I click on this link, and all of your award information will display here. You'll have your DS-1909 attached. You can look at that, review it for just making sure everything's correct, it's everything you agreed to. Your award number will display here. And you can also see, so it's in the status of pending approval. So after you go through and review the award information, the period of performance, the US share of cost, so on and so forth, you can decide to approve this notice of award. So you do that by entering your specific SAMS domestic username and password. And when you click OK, now this award has gone into open status. So now you have signed it. You have proof that you signed it right here. And the final DS-1909 with your signature will be integrated back to this award. So you'll have the final copy there. Next, we'll go on to the award assignments. So we've allowed grantees to add backup contacts on the notice of award. So adding other users within your organization here will allow them to create post-award activities. So I'll add Joe employee, and then this field displays additional backup vendor recipient contacts. You can add more by clicking this lock icon and clicking the search icon and adding more users. And then you save it, and they should be able to create post-award activities. So you do that by coming down to this post-award activities checklist and clicking New. So this checklist will house all of the activities related to this specific award. So all you do is click Save, and then you'll be able to create individual activities for this award. So you can do that easily by clicking New. You enter an activity name, for example, Quarterly Financial Report. And then you can click FFR, but you also have options of Milestone, Other, and your Progress Report. You'll select your due date and also your frequency. So for this, it's easy. We'll click Quarterly, and then you'll click Save. And a quarterly activity will be generated throughout the period of performance. And you can see your reviewer is Gia Oberg. So this will default to the GOR assigned to your award. And if there's no GOR selected, it will default to the grant officer. So this is the person who will be reviewing your documentation and marking it as completed. In order to, so let's say, so this is due this Friday. So we'll go down, let's say we already have our financial report for this quarter. You can add an attachment by clicking New, and all you'll have to do is attach your document here. And then we can go back and look at an existing award. So you already countersigned that one, but let's say you have another one also in progress. So we'll search for it again using the same search technique. You'll see it's in a status of open, so you can click on it. You can see your existing post-award activities checklist. You click on that link, and all your activities display here. So again, you can just click into an activity, add your attachments to respond to an existing activity that has been created for you. Are there any questions about the system? We've covered pretty much everything that you guys will have to do, so we're looking forward to you guys getting in the system.
I think we have
Yeah, so my 10-minute
just
slides real
like
quick.
2 more slides we're going to
Okay.
cover really quickly. And then if anybody does have any questions, you're welcome to find yourselves to the microphones and ask away, and we're happy to answer any of those questions while we have a couple minutes left.
All right, thank you so much, Sam. So there really are just 2 key dates that we want you all to be aware of, right? The first one we've already highlighted a couple times, Tuesday, the 7th of November. So coming up in a couple weeks now. That's when access to grant solutions is going to end. So the key things for you all to keep in mind, right, are that solicitations during this time will be available on grants.gov for anything that's full and open notice of funding opportunity. You'll be able to then apply to awards also through SAMS Domestic on December 8th. After December 8th, you will have full access to everything that comes with ILMS. So that means the help desk, the resources, the webinars, et cetera, and that will obviously be in perpetuity. And if you have any additional questions, you can also feel free to reach out to grantor point of contacts that you may have with DRL. Awesome. Again, this is the information that you might want to care about in the meantime. So the ILMS support desk is up there. John Videnya, who is not with us today, but he's the program manager, and his number is here as well. And so, right, the real key for this was just to try to give you guys some familiarity with what you might expect in the system and understand what it means to get set up in the system. But we'll really open this up to any questions you have, and then we'll hang out afterwards and are happy to answer more specific questions as well. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Brown from Save the Children. Thanks for this presentation and the good information. I'm sure you've already troubleshot this and thought it through, but I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit more about how you anticipate multi-factor authentication working in terms of devices for especially large organizations that have a big grants team.
Yep, that's a great question. So we have a slide dedicated to MFA because there's a really wide range of users' familiarity with it. And so I'm going to give a little bit of a roundabout answer to start things off, right? Which is the first thing that we would really strongly emphasize to everyone in this room is that when you do deploy with SAMS Domestic, please do create your own account. We have organizations, and then we have users linked into those organizations. And so if you anticipate, whether it is applying to awards or doing post-award activity reporting, or your role is simply to sign off on countersigning awards, do have your own individualized account set up. And then you can go in and create any sort of associations between your organization and awards and your personal responsibilities as need be. And so that's the long way of getting to the central question of MFA, right? Which is the real inconvenience is that it requires a physical device to be with you, right? And obviously, if you have one user who is on PTO or deployed somewhere in the world, then you don't want to have that issue. And so the first thing is, right, is if you have multiple users who are in the system, then that helps alleviate it, obviously. And then the secondary answer to this is that the MFA that we have deployed uses Google Authenticator, which means once you do set it up, you never need to worry about connectivity. So there never should be a question of obviously if you're able to access the website, then it doesn't matter if your cell phone has Wi-Fi or a cell signal. It is already built in. It already knows the code that it's going to be expecting to see. So we hope in that respect, at least, it's a little bit more convenient. But yeah, essentially, the end goal would be to make sure that everyone in your user who's interacting with SAMS Domestic does have an account that they can use. But really good and important question, for sure.
Hi there, I'm Diana from ILRF. A question on the calendar. Will that calendar be populated with the quarterly reports that is expected of grantees? And then a second question, is that calendar, is it something that can be integrated into or downloaded to Outlook or TeamUp, or a calendar that an organization uses to manage grants?
So I'll answer the first half of that. And when we go in as Bob Smith is a very intimidating fake user because he has an overwhelming amount of activities in the system. But yes, exactly. Your FFRs, your PPRs would all populate onto your calendar. It's the same thing that's showing on the calendar as was showing on that to-do dashboard. And then the last component of that is you're also receiving email notifications. So 60 days before an FFR is due, 30 days before an FFR is due, and the day an FFR is due, and the same for any activity in the system, you'll receive an email notification if you're assigned to that award. As for integrating that in with other calendars, that's not current functionality, but Sam, I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that at all?
No, not currently.
Thanks for the question.
Florindo from Friends of Angola. I was just wondering, would this website will be available in different language or only English? That's my first question. My second is, sometimes based on my experience of building different applications, sometimes the perception is that people should understand whatever I just did, but in reality it's going to be challenged sometimes. Are you going to be a tutorial? You have a tutorial to walk people through the application, just like one of your colleagues did. And also, how secure is this platform? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So to the first question, the website is currently only available in English, and I think in general also most of the NOFOs that are posted, and as well as on grants.gov, are all in English as well. The second question, or as far as security, the multi-factor authentication is one huge step in security for both the site, for you as users, and also the Department of State, and so that will allow kind of an enhanced level of security for that. For the webinars or the tutorials that we do offer, we'll offer those on a recurring basis throughout the fiscal year. And I previously mentioned mid-November. We have not yet confirmed those dates, which is why I can't tell you when they are yet. But mid-November, we'll be having some webinars, and they are about 2-hour sessions, and Kyle actually leads those, where you can connect online to just a screen share webinar session where we go through in-depth logging on, creating accounts, associating awards, setting up multi-factor authentication, and all those things. So we definitely go very in-depth on the system, and then offer a lot of assistance or contact information for who you can use for the support desk. So there's hopefully thorough information through those webinar sessions.
To add on to what Corey said about security, we consistently do security scans of our system, and we're implementing new security measures actually as we speak. So we are staying on top of that.
And the last thing I would add is that most of our resources are designed to, well, they do incorporate English, they're largely visual. So you'll find that as long as you could probably recognize the number pattern, you could just follow along mostly with just looking at what we're highlighting in those resources as well.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation and the quick tutorial. My question is around different users from the same organization. Is an organization allowed to give users different level of authority? So for example, users who may only be allowed to upload reports versus ones that are allowed to sign an award, for example.
That is the exact permission we have right now. Yeah, so we currently have 2 levels of permissions for grantee users, and that's it. One set of users can countersign for awards, and then there's a set of users for everything else. So if you do have an account set up in the system, you can apply, you can fill out post-award activities, but then exactly countersignaturing is limited to only individuals you identify.
Hi, thank you guys for your presentation. I'm Emily Wilkinson with the O'Neill Institute. My question is in the same vein, but more during this huge implementation process that you guys are going through, will individual users be able to manage awards from different bureaus at state? And I realize that there's sort of a gap in implementation. So one bureau, DRL is coming online now, but what about one that may be further down the line in terms of fiscal year 18? Will those proposals and awards be brought into your user profile?
Yep, that's a good question that we probably should have highlighted. That's exactly how it will go. So if I know we spoke to some people earlier who are already working with like PRM and CSO, so you are experiencing this firsthand. But essentially every wave that occurs, if you were brought in with a prior wave, we'll add in that new information to your existing account. Exactly. Great. Well, thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to see all of you in person, and we'll be hanging out afterwards if you have more questions.